You're probably scrolling through a dozen grow kits, wondering which one actually lets you focus on the plants instead of fiddling with fans, lights, and humidity sensors. The fear of spending a few $100 on a system that looks good on paper but ends up being a constant troubleshooting headache is real, especially if you're new to indoor growing or you've had a bad experience with a DIY setup that never quite hit the right balance. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down what the AC Infinity AI Grow System Pro 5x5 really offers, where it shines, and where it might leave you wishing you'd gone a different route. First off, the biggest promise of this kit is the AI-driven controller. In theory, it watches temperature, humidity, and airflow, then uses both real-time readings and the data it's collected over the past few days to predict when a change is coming and adjust the fans automatically. For a hobbyist who wants to keep a steady environment without constantly watching a phone screen, that predictive element can feel like a safety net. In practice, it means you set your target ranges, say 75 F temperature and 55% humidity, and the system will preemptively crank the 6-inch EC inline fan or the oscillating clip fan up or down before you even notice a drift. I've seen a few growers describe the peace of mind that comes from the app sending a notification like humidity rising, fan speed increased, and that's exactly the kind of daily usability the AI controller aims to deliver. The tent itself is a compact 5 feet by 5 foot space, which fits nicely in a spare closet, a garage corner, or a bedroom corner if you're okay with the light spill. The Mylar lining is advertised as lab-tested for maximum light efficiency, and that claim holds up when you compare the light output of the included full-spectrum bar grow light. Because the reflective surface really does bounce a lot of photons back onto the canopy, you often get a more uniform spread than you'd see with a plain canvas or lower-grade foil. In a real-world scenario, that translates to fewer light-hot spots where the top leaves get burnt while the lower buds stay in the shade. For a 6-plant kit, that even distribution is a tangible benefit. You end up with a more consistent harvest across all plants rather than a few winners and several stunted ones. Now, who is this kit built for? If you're a beginner who wants a relatively plug-and-play experience and you don't want to spend weeks calibrating separate fans, lights, and controllers, the AC Infinity AI Grow System Pro is a strong contender. It also appeals to intermediate growers who already have some knowledge but want to automate the fine-tuning part so they can spend more time on nutrient schedules or training techniques. The inclusion of a single, integrated AI controller means you won't need to buy a separate smart thermostat or humidity controller. The whole ecosystem talks to each other, which cuts down on wiring confusion. On the flip side, seasoned growers who already have a custom rig with high-end carbon filters, multiple light rows, and separate environmental controllers might find the system a bit limiting. The kit caps at 6 plants, and while the tent size could accommodate a larger canopy, you're stuck with the supplied 600W full-spectrum bar light. If you're looking to run a 1000W LED or add a second light source for a longer veg phase, you'll have to improvise, and that defeats part of the all-in-one promise. Likewise, if you're after a professional-grade carbon filtration system to manage odor, the kit doesn't bundle one, so you'll need to purchase a separate filter and integrate it yourself. Let's talk about the practical strengths that matter after you've unpacked everything. The AI controller's interface is clean and mobile-first, which means you can glance at temperature graphs and fan speeds while you're in the kitchen watering your herbs. The predictive adjustments are subtle but noticeable. After a couple of days, the system learns how quickly your room heats up when the lights turn on, and it pre-cools the tent just enough to keep the temperature within your set range. That learning curve is short. Most users report the system stabilizes within the first 48 hours, assuming you've set realistic targets. The fans themselves are quiet enough for a bedroom setup. The 6-inch EC inline fan sits on the exhaust side and the clip fan circulates air without a constant where that would wake a partner. Because the fans are part of the kit, you avoid the common mismatch where a cheap fan can't push enough air through the tent's filter, leading to heat buildup. The weaknesses are more about expectations than outright flaws. The AI controller relies on Wi-Fi, so if your internet drops or the router is far away, the app can become unresponsive. I've seen users in basements with thick walls experience occasional lag, which isn't a deal breaker but does mean you should keep the router within reasonable range or consider a Wi-Fi extender. The kit also omits a voucher or discount.